that trade deadline in the NFL. We've already seen some trades kind of go down this morning. Jerry Jones, after the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals last night in a pretty devastating fashion, we heard that he was going to be active, right? And certainly delivered, getting Logan Wilson from the Bengals. And then most recently, Jacoby Myers finally on the move. The Raiders sending the veteran wideout over to Jacksonville in exchange for a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick. That's the latest from our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. And of course, the Jags, we know they could use help at the wideout position with Travis Hunter, the 2A star, going on the IR this last week. And speaking of our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, he joins the conversation here. We're going to go through some teams, some names that could be on the move, all the things as we're getting closer and closer to that NFL trade deadline. JJ, we love a good surprise team, a good splash, maybe a team we're sleeping on per se. So who comes to mind for you as a team that could potentially be active that we might be sleeping on at this point?
You know what? Don't sleep, okay? It's noon Eastern. The deadline is 4 hours away. Save your nap for later. Wake up, all right? And wake up and look to the Rocky Mountains. Look at the Denver Broncos. Consider for a moment that they have a quarterback on a rookie contract in his second year, so they don't have to pay him until 2027. Consider that they have a number of cornerstone pieces across the organization that they have already paid that they're feeling great about, right? Pat Surtain II, they got the offensive line, they're feeling good about their pass rush, all of those things. And they got some money, and they can make some money. And so what are they looking for? Well, another wide receiver would be nice, right? Cortland Sutton, 30 years old. Maybe just get one more. 7-2 in the AFC. Now's the moment, right? Build off of that. We see the group right there. But who's that guy? Maybe they're missing that versatile piece. Really can blow the top off the defense. You can move him around. You can make him your guy from 26 to 27 to 28 to 29 years old because he's already under contract. How about Jalen Waddle? How about a big old deal for the Denver Broncos and Jalen Waddle? Look, I'm not saying that it is going to happen absolutely within the next 4 hours. Could it happen? Could that be the big stunner of the NFL trade deadline? It certainly could be. The Miami Dolphins, of course, looking for a 1st-round pick and then some for Jalen Waddle. I will be surprised if any team, any of the 31 other teams, ultimately pay a 1st and then some for Jalen Waddle. But will somebody pay a 1st? Will the Miami Dolphins come down on their price? Do they really want to get rid of Jalen Waddle? We will see over these next couple hours, but that would be the surprise team, the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and that definitely would make a splash, right? But it's going to have to come with what we call a Godfather offer, an offer that you can't refuse. Because I don't really see the Dolphins, especially as you build towards the future. And obviously you have the big question at quarterback coming next year, and that's going to be on the decision of a new GM, potentially a new head coach. And why not still have a piece there that whomever's going to be your quarterback can throw to? But I want to bring up another name for Denver. And this is Sean Payton tapping into his old stomping grounds in New Orleans. And we'll continue to talk about this young man, Rashid Shaheed. If you think about a Sean Payton's offense, and I had to go back through it this morning, and I'm going to bring up some old names.
Okay.
Devery Henderson, Robert Meacham. These were all guys that Sean Payton had that were vertical threats, downfield threats that could take the top off the defense and create that explosiveness downfield. And Rashid Shaheed fits that role. Devery Henderson was a 4-3 guy. Robert Meacham was a 4-3 guy. We know at least Shaheed is a 4-3 guy. I would not be surprised if he's 4-2 because he is really explosive. But JJ hit it. He's on an expiring contract, and they have the space to pay him. And so he would be a name that I would see could potentially be there in Denver.
Okay, so let's continue that conversation with the Saints because, again, a one-win team, there's this warranted sense that they're going to be sellers, right? And we're talking about those wideouts, and you talked about Rashid Shaheed there. JJ, what about Chris Olave? Do you think it's more likely that he could be on the move? I know there's a report out there that the Bills were contacting the Saints about it. What is your ultimate take on the wide receiver room there and Nola and what could happen in the next couple of hours?
Yeah, look, there are a lot of teams. If you could choose, you probably want Chris Olave over Rashid Shaheed if all things were being equal, but they aren't. Life's not fair. And the New Orleans Saints would rather part with Shaheed than they would Olave. But depending on what the offer is, could they part with Olave? It's possible. Look, here's what I would say. And Jack, when you set this up by saying, they're obviously 1-8, clearly they're going to be sellers. That may be clear to the three of us here. I don't know that it became clear to the folks in New Orleans until this week, until yesterday, right? Because otherwise, we all knew which way this was headed for New Orleans. If you didn't know it in July and August, you certainly knew it in October and into November. And so they could move on from Olave, but they haven't yet. There's also been reporting, and I had heard this as well, that they're working on an extension for Olave. It's week 9. There's no extension, right? We're heading into week 10. So they have the word that has been used as being stubborn about their asking price. That's from other teams. You talk to the Saints and say, no, we're not being stubborn. We're asking appropriate value for our players, right, Rand? Don't GMs obviously value their guys probably more than everyone else, and everybody else wants a deal for your guy? That's the way that things go. Again, we have 4 hours for the Saints to reach an agreement with teams on any of these guys. But if someone is going to get moved, I would say it's probably Shaheed out of New Orleans.
Yeah, and I'll double down on that because Chris Olave, the Saints have a rich history of drafting, developing, and re-signing their own. And so Chris Olave definitely fits that. But like I said before, Shaheed is on an expiring contract. If you're going to extend Chris Olave, then you're not going to also extend Shaheed. And so to me, like we just mentioned in Denver, he's a great fit there. He's a great fit for the Bills because as much as Josh Allen moves around and he can spin his way out and take the top off vertically and then create another explosive playmaker in that offense. But to me, he also fits the Patriots. Right? Kayshon Boutte has stepped up and become the downfield threat in their offense. I think he's averaging over 18 yards a catch at this point. But who else on that Patriots team in terms of the wide receiver positions threatens you with speed? There's no one there that threatens you there, so why not add another component of speed? Because Kayshon Boutte missed last week, and so that really kind of condenses the way that they have to play the game. So I think he's a good fit there. So to me, if you're the New Orleans Saints, I would move, if I could move, I would move Shaheed, and I would call Denver, I would call Buffalo, and I would call New England.
Okay, all right. Certainly a handful of wide receiver needy teams that are out there as the trade deadline is getting closer and closer. Somehow, some way, we always talk about Jerry Jones. No matter what time of the year it is, the offseason, the trade deadline, and he teased, hey, we're going to be active at the trade deadline. They get Logan Wilson from the Bengals. So, JJ, are you expecting any more moves from the Dallas Cowboys here in the next couple of hours?
Well, we talk about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys because Jerry Jones cuts me a check every week to talk about his team constantly, over and over, right? That's what you would think, right? Of folks watching, that we're always talking about the Cowboys, but of course they draw attention, they draw eyeballs, and this morning making the move for Logan Wilson. Clearly they wanted some